So it's very important, and I'm going to get into why it is. You hear pre-approval, you'll hear pre-qualification. Some banks want to say pre-approval. Some think that since an underwriter didn't look at it, it should be pre-qualification. There's really no difference. If you have a realtor that tells you that is, no, there's not. I promise you there's not. Both of them are looked at by a loan officer, and I'm going to get into it right now. Let me bring up the slideshow, and we'll start. Bear with me, guys. Okay. Okay. So what is a pre-approval? Okay. It's a pre-qualification or pre-approval letter is a document from a lender stating that the lender is tentatively willing to lend you up to a certain loan amount. And that is 100% accurate. What I do, and we'll go over the docs that I collect, when I speak to somebody, I get a starting point. Okay. Where they're looking, the area they're looking, I get an idea of what they want to spend, how much the house is. And at that point, I say, okay, send me your income documents and we'll make sure you can be pre-approved. All right. I personally, do certain things. I will not pre-approve somebody unless it's my own mother, because I know her financial status, or, unless I know them extremely well. I will not put my name on something that is not pre-approvable. Why? It's a very small industry. You're only as good as your name. And I'm doing this 23 years and I'm here for a while, guys, because I do things the right way. Plus, the most important thing other than my name, you're playing with people's emotions. They're moving their families. Moving is very emotional. Mortgages are very emotional. I like to say it's like a good movie. You're going to laugh, you're going to cry, you're going to want to leave. But at the end of the day, it's a good movie. It hit every emotional point, and you're at the theater, you're clapping when the movie's done. And that's how mortgages go, guys. As more and more documents are asked for in mortgages, it's not difficult to get. It's just tedious. So that's why pre-approval letters are so important. And here's why. Okay. So we'll start with this. What is the difference between a pre-qualification letter and a pre-approval letter? All right. I'm going to paraphrase, guys, but that's directly from the CFPB, which is the governing body of all mortgages, which govern us. It's pretty much a Consumer Protection Bureau. All right. Again, there's really no differences in them. It all has to do with the loan officer. And again, I don't kick out pre-approvals or pre-qualifications unless I look at their documents. I don't just wing it. I don't do back of napkin calculations or say, oh, you're making 100 grand a year. I think your mortgage payment says no. I pull their credit. I run the numbers, with accurate rates. We don't guess the rate. Again, not only is it your name, you don't want to waste people's time and you don't want to play with people's emotions. So, if I know there's a lot of affiliates on here, if I ever tell you I'm not pre-approving something that they can't approve, don't take it personal. It's just, it's not good business. Okay. And it's not fair to the buyers or sellers or anybody involved in it. But like it said, there's no difference between a pre-qualification and a pre-approval letter. In my mind, yes, if you read this, there are some small legalities. Some believe a pre-qual, some banks believe a pre-qual is better to say, because an underwriter has not looked at the file and a pre-approval can hint towards it has been looked at. That's not the case. I do know there are some lenders out there, not us, that will do a house now that it's slow. They will do pre-approval commitments, meaning an underwriter has looked at the file, which is obviously like having, cash in hand. You've already been approved. You pretty much just need a house, an appraisal, and a title at that point. So there are pre-approved commitments or a true pre-approval commitment letters with a to be determined address. Once you get those, guys, that's I'm not gonna say it's like gold or a ticket to Willy Wonka's, chocolate factory, but it is a very good step in odds of your approval of 90%. The only thing at that point that would kill the deal, things that came out of left field, home not appraising, God forbid the person loses their job or their business or some extenuating circumstance. So those are the differences. But the main thing we're talking about tonight, pre-approval / pre-qualification letter, pretty much the same thing. Again, the process is exactly the same, which is this. All right. We're going to start with why. All right. Why do you get a pre-approval letter? Why is it so important in this day and age? Other than not wasting people's time and playing with their emotions, it helps you understand how much you can afford. All right. It's going to give you an estimate. It's going to help you budget. It lets you know what you could afford if you can get in the house, and make sure you're not going to be eating ramen noodles, so to speak. It gives you an idea, or not idea, it should give you, your loan officer, hopefully, which is me, it gives you the exact numbers. You know, the only way those numbers should change is if the rate changes, which not by much, even though rates do change every day, guys. Keep that in mind. Rates change every day. A lot of people I pre-approved a month ago are finding houses now. Rates have upticked. Some are now out of the market. Some are still in the market, just at a higher payment. So keep that in mind. You know, it's not a sales tactic when you tell people try to get pre-approved now and try and close now, because rates are all over the place. Rates are crazy right now. They're high, they're low. They touched almost 7 last week. Now they're back down to 6.375, which is a big difference on some of the higher areas. So explain to I know there are a lot of affiliates on here. A lot of you send us loans and we thank you for the business. When you're speaking to a realtor, you're speaking to a client, you know, express to them, it's, you know, it's not a sales tactic that you're looking to get them pre-approved. You know, rates move every day, and the way rates are going, people get priced out of the house all day long. All right. So that's why it helps you understand how much you can afford and the importance of it. All right. The next thing, which is to me it truly is the second most important thing. A, you want to make sure you can afford it. B, in this market, it's in a lot of areas in the country, it still is what they call a seller's market, meaning they have the upper hand. Buyers are all pre-approved. Buyers are a dime a dozen, and it comes down to who's the most qualified or who's offering the most for the house. All right. When you have a pre-approval, 2 things. A, they know that you're most likely going to be approved, so they don't have to worry about kicking in that mortgage contingency on your contract. And they know that you've been looked at and you're taking it seriously because you took that step to get pre-approved. You know, in this day and age, where all the commercials that you might see on the Super Bowl with a Rocket Mortgage or the Bank of America or the Chases, if somebody doesn't get pre-approved, you know, they almost don't want to get a home. You know, I don't know any realtors out there that will show a home or even take an offer without a serious pre-approval. You know, I know some banks, you know, or some realtors that won't work with certain banks because their pre-approvals are crap. So again, don't take this the wrong way, team. If you know, if it's affiliate sending us something, I'm not going to give her pre-approval just so they can see a house, because I have had instances where that person, I've said, hey, I'm just going to give you the pre-approval to see the house, so you know what a $500,000 house or $1 million house looks like, and if you like the area, but don't make an offer. Well, they've made offers. Offer was accepted, and I had to politely tell the realtor, no, they're not pre-approved. I just gave it to them, and I look like an idiot. Okay, so that person didn't heed my warning. It's actually happened a couple times. You know, fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on you. Or however it goes. I think I got that wrong, but it doesn't matter. You guys know it. Second, it can speed up the buying process. Yes. How can it do that, you ask? Well, I have all of your documents already. We get the ball rolling on certain things, maybe verifications of employment, maybe documents. Maybe you have something that popped up on your credit that we could start fixing now while you're looking for the house. Maybe your credit's a little bit lower than you thought because you have a soft pull from like a Credit Karma or a CreditWise. You think your credit score is a 720. When I pull it, it's actually a 680. So that can give you time to get it up to a 720 to get a better rate. Or again, the main thing, you know, if something pops up you don't know about, you know, a lot of these speeding tickets now, or on the LIE or the red light cameras, sometimes they're turned into a judgment and you don't have to pay them. They may not show up on your credit, but we could do another search that looks for them. Those are popping up a lot lately. Okay. And that takes care of number 4 down here, helps you identify issues with your credit. Okay. It also, if you're not approvable at this moment, we could coach you. There are a lot of good credit repairs at time. We can give you a plan to get you in a house, you know, anywhere from as little as a month to 6 months to maybe a year, depending on the dings or the stuff that shows up on your credit. So that is some of the important reasons as to why it's so. And again, guys, I'm paraphrasing. Of course, if you need me to get into this more, you all have my number. I give it at the end of this for anybody that's new to the group. You know, I can go in this in depth all day long, but I like to paraphrase. I like to keep these things brief. This way I don't lose attention. And there's so much I can go on. I'd like to give you guys the gist. Now, documentation. I left this very, 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 very vague. All right. Because you know how many types of loans we have. You know, I need 10 fingers. I had 10 fingers, you know, 10 toes, I need more than that. We have the DSCR loans. We have the conventional loans. We have home equities, which can be used to help purchase. We have FHA, VA. You could use your bank statement. You could use a profit and loss. You could use your assets. So there are many different lists that I ask for. To give you guys an example, I probably have 25 different templates based on what the client told me, that I say, okay, so-and-so wants to buy a fix and flip. We're clicking on that. Oh, so-and-so is going to buy an investment property. All right, I'm going to send them this quick pack. So there's many ways to do it. But obviously, I put these, in no particular order because they're all important. Income documentation. So depending on the income documentation of the loan we're going for, I will need to see that. So if we're going conventional, I'll need tax returns. If we're going FHA, I need tax returns. So anywhere, like I call the government loans or the Fannie or Freddie loans, you need tax returns. All right. Yes, for those out there who know a lot, yes, you can sometimes use a W-2 or pay stubs only or 1 year's tax returns. But for the most part, I want to know everything, because I'm not going to know until I see everything if I can get away with limited documentation. All right. The next important piece of the puzzle, proof of your down payment. That's very important. Why? I do have to source and season it, all right, because it's something called KYC, know your client, anti-money laundering rule. I have to know where that money's coming from. It has to be seasoned, meaning it has to be in a bank account for a few months, all right, 60 days, if it was a cash deposit. Also, we want to see if there's any unregular large deposits. There's a bunch of reasons why I want to see that, guys, because we may have to explain them and you may not be able to use a certain part of your down payment. In addition, it also lets the seller know what you can put down, because sometimes it either makes or break a deal. So if all things being equal, when your clients are going for homes, all right, if somebody's putting down 20% and somebody's doing 30%, but everything else is equal, they're going to go with the person that's more to put down. All right. So they're going to ask me, and guys, the realtors call me. I probably field, at least a dozen phone calls every weekend on the pre-approvals that I sent out. Hey, is this one still pre-approved? Hey, can they get this? Realtors are very serious. Okay. So the proof of down payment is important. And me knowing all this stuff, because if a realtor calls me and I go, I think so. I think Bobby Vecchione has good credit. I think he's got money in the bank. Maybe I have to ask him, your offer or your client's offer is not getting accepted. Okay, because I need to sound confident in what I'm saying. I also need to know what I'm saying. And the most important thing, I don't want to lie. So we have to get all these documents and proof of down payment, income. And then next, obviously, the credit report. I personally, again, I do not issue pre-approvals unless I pull a credit report. We do a hard pull. It's a tri-merge, meaning all three bureaus, and we take the middle score, meaning I knock out the highest, I knock out the lowest, and I keep the middle score. Okay, so that's why a credit report, and we need to know whether or not you qualify. And another reason we pull credit, like I said, it's not that these credit reports on Credit Karma, let's just say, or CreditWise, or you get Chase, or your Capital Ones, isn't accurate. They're very accurate. They just score on a different model. So sometimes that model is more forgiving. And if it's more forgiving, it means you have a higher credit score. So that's why a mortgage credit pull is so important. And we just cannot go off of the soft pull, the credit monitoring service. Okay. Next, full application. Yes, I need a full application. I need to know where you're getting your income, how long you've been at your job, how long you've lived at your place of residence. There's a bunch of stuff on there. Are there any bankruptcies, judgments, everything that's pertinent to make sure what I'm telling the realtors and I'm telling your clients or the realtors' clients or the potential buyer, everything on there is important to answer and answer accurately, because you know what? You're at risk of losing your down payment if you lie. And if you didn't tell me, or if you omitted certain details, which is looked at as lying in the eyes of the law, you could lose your down payment. And that's the most important part. And then it falls on me. And I don't want to be responsible for you losing your down payment if you decided that you didn't want to tell me something that you thought wouldn't come up. Well, keep in mind, guys and girls, everything comes up nowadays with the internet, with the searches, with the LexisNexis, even with Google. I've had deals die because of Google. Everything comes up nowadays. So you better tell me, because sometimes I could package it the right way. Just because they had a blemish on their credit, or maybe a bankruptcy, or they forgot to pay a bill, doesn't mean I can't get them done. It's all about how I package it and present it. So if we get in front of the issue, we can either fix it or tell the underwriter and get an exception, or I could package it the right way, put you in a program that might allow for a mortgage late, or might allow that you didn't pay, a student loan 20 years ago. Trust me, team, this stuff comes up and it has killed deals because of time. Yes, I could reroute, switch, switch gears, go a different program, but sometimes there's no time left on your contract by the time we find this out. And again, everything comes out in the wash nowadays with technology. So that's why all of this stuff is extremely important. Okay. I'm going to leave my contact information up for a few minutes, guys. For those who don't know, if you scan that little QR code on the side, all of my contact information comes up. You can digitally save it on your phones. So I will leave that up there for a few minutes while you guys can load me up with some questions. Let me see if I have any questions. I'm going to stop the share for a minute, guys. All right, there are no questions. All right, there's a bunch of people on here, guys. I know I paraphrased, but we can't be experts. There's got to be a question or two you guys have. As far as what programs we use, how long the pre-approval process takes, which is a good question on my part. I just answered. Pre-approval process, I can get you pre-approved the same day. Most of the time, it's the same day if there's no glitches in the system or no nothing that I have to ask an underwriter for on the nothing that I have to ask an underwriter for an exception, or if it's a very plain Jane deal, very cut and dry, so to speak. I could do you do jumbo loans? Reginald Weil, yes, we do. Biggest loan I personally have ever closed on a residence was a $3.5 million loan. So we do jumbos. Can you give me an idea of what your perception of jumbo? Because most of my programs are capped between 3 and 4 million, but I do have a couple of outlets above and beyond that. If you're looking for over 3 or 4 million. Okay, so I'll give you guys a few more minutes. So again, the pre-approval process team. I always have to talk to the borrower. Keep in mind, I have to talk to them. We are a licensed bank. I am a licensed loan officer. NMLS number 59001. It's on all of my documentation, all of my income. It has to be. It's a rule after 08, after the financial crisis of 08. It's something that we all had to do. It's something that we all had to go testing, background checks, credit checks. So it's where everybody knows we're above board. Okay. So with that being said, team, all right, we have a question. What do we got here? Between yes, Reginald, that's right in our wheelhouse. Usually you're capped at about, depending on the credit, on a purchase, you're capped at about 80 loan to value. Anything over 2 million, they do ask for 2 appraisals. Okay, 1.5 million, you're fine. How much higher? Actually, if you're talking conventional, Frederick, jumbo loan rates, if you're talking what they call conventional jumbo, those rates are actually lower than the conventional rates. I think the average rate today might have been 6 or 6.25, where the average conventional rate, I believe, was 6.625 today. So in some cases they're higher, some cases lower. But in Reginald's case, with the 1.5 to 2 millions, those could be anywhere from 7.5 to 9. Most of those clients opt to take an interest only payment because it is cheaper, which is smart in this day and age, because you're really not going to pay anything in principal. Plus, they know that they're going to wind up refinancing in the next 2 to 5 years, most likely the next 2 years. Rates always go down, guys. Always go down from where they are here. If you look at the historical charts, could they go a blip higher? Of course, but they most likely will go down. So that's why a lot of the bigger loans are willing to go interest only right now. Okay. So, all right, guys, if that's it, like I said, we do jumbos. Remember, guys, jumbos, FHA, VA, investment property loans. We do SBA loans because it has to do with realty. We do a bunch of stuff. Don't hesitate to ask. I'll never get mad at you guys asking questions, trying to get in touch with me. So give me a call whenever. I'm going to share my information just for another minute. So if you guys have any other questions, there's me. There is my QR code, guys. So for those, scan it with your phones. Q&A. How many years for jumbo loans? They're 30-year fixed, Frederick. All right. The ARMs are pricing out worse. If that's what you mean, how many years? You know, they're regular traditional loans. Only difference is they have a higher loan amount. So they have a higher loan amount. So they can, hold on, guys, I want to answer a question on here. They have a higher loan amount. And again, 30-year loans, a lot of people are opting to do the interest only on those loans just because it gives a cheaper payment. And they want to, you know, take advantage of the cheaper payment because they know it's, you know, they're going to wind up refinancing in the next couple of years anyway. All right, team, anything else? Anything else need to ask? Going once, twice? All right, team, sold. Like I said, 20 minutes, a half hour. I like to keep it. I know, like I always say, if you're on the East Coast, go eat dinner. If you're on the West Coast, got a few more hours of dialing, team. So let me know. You guys can get me by cell, email, text, whatever you guys need. With that being said, have a good night. Start to enjoy the warmer weather, longer nights. It's still a little sunny here in New York. I like it, going home when it's not dark. And if you guys need me, reach out, guys. All right, everyone have a good night. Thanks for joining. And next week's topic, I will announce over the next upcoming days. Thanks, team.